So guys, welcome back to our channel. So you guys know that ever since Senator Natasha was suspended, there has been so many opinions flying around, so many people talking. But the one I always pick interest in is the one that either a lawyer said or a senator, that's someone that is inside there, because I believe that those people maybe have an insight on how things are supposed to be done. So this one now is a lawyer. Deji is a lawyer and also a human activist. Now Deji have come to say that what Senator Akapabio did, the judgment that he passed, is not supposed to hold, because that is not the rule of the Senate. That normal, even if the Senator Natasha is supposed to have any punishment at all, any suspension, that is not supposed to be 6 months. That the rule of the Senate said that it will be 14 days. 14 days. So this is the first senator that is being suspended for 6 months, and that is without pay. Without pay. Now tell me how they want this woman to survive now. Suspension without pay. Also, that constituency that she is representing, how would they now fed? Like, how are they now going to cope for that 6 months that the person that is supposed to represent them is being suspended? Is there someone that is going to take over Senator Natasha? Someone like assistant or acting senator for that constituency? Because how are you saying that for 6 months there is not going to be any allocation for that constituency? They are just going to stay like that. It is just going to be a lawless constituency where nothing is going to be done. So how is it going to happen? Because if we are looking at it, let's just remove the personal aspect, whether what is done to Senator Natasha is right or wrong, and you get her personal life. I believe that she will be fine. She's a strong woman. She will be fine. Then what about the people that she is representing? What will happen to them? These are some things that are not even put into consideration. They just 6 months, everybody just says, yay. Not even one single name. What will happen to those people? Now, activist Deji has come out to explain this rule of law to these people, because it seems like so many people do not even understand, even the person that presides over the case. Now, listen to this video and hear what he has to say.
Every senatorial district will have a representative in the national in the upper chamber, just like the way every House of Rep district, representative district, have members in the House of Reps, and also in the House of Assembly of the state. So by taking away that power, which the Senate does not have, even by the Senate's own rules, the Senate's own rules says that you can only suspend for 10 days, 10 clear days, 14 legislative days. Yeah. That's what the Senate rule says. You understand? And that Senate rule has been declared to even be inconsistent with the Constitution, because it is the Constitution that gives power. It is the Constitution that gives power to the legislature, to the executive and the judiciary, and all legislative powers that have been donated by the Constitution is encapsulated in the Constitution. So any law or any rule so made that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. So the Senate rules cannot be more pronounced or more prominent than the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then as amended, and the Senate rules is not at large. You cannot just become more powerful all of a sudden, more than the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or more than the decision of courts. And the most painful aspect of this is that while the Senate Committee on Ethics, was presiding over the suspension debate of Natasha Akpoti, there was already a positive order of court. There was already a positive order of court barring them from taking further steps until the substantive motion of notice, which was before the court is determined. But the Akapabio Senate, the Akapabio stamp Senate, they have no regard for the people of Nigeria. They have no regard for the people of Kogi Central. They have no regard for even, decided cases on this same subject matter, went ahead in flagrant contravention and disregard for that Federal High Court judge ex parte ruling, barring the committee as a whole from taking any further step, went and endorsed the recommendation of the committee, which is a flagrant abuse of court process. It's a flagrant disregard of the rule of law, because the court, several in a plethora of cases, the most notable, which is Ojuku and Lagos State government, has said that it is the government that needs to obey the rule of law more than even the citizens. That because they cannot govern without the rule of law. So when the Senate of the National Assembly, they're supposed to know the law, know the rules, obey court judgments and pronouncements, when they flagrantly disobey the law or they are not abreast of the law, because how can they suspend her for 6 months when their own rule says it's 14 legislative days? That is on one hand. On the other hand, why will they proceed to take disciplinary actions against her when there's a positive order of court to say you cannot take any action on this matter until the substantive matter has been decided by the court? So it simply means that the legislature have no regard for rule of law or the judiciary. And among all the 109 senators that were present during the debate on the floor, nobody could point out the fact that there are already decided cases. As the reference case I mentioned in my intro, the Bauchi State case and Honorable Donor in that matter in 2017, that, none of them could bring these cases, and a plethora of other cases, Ali Ndume and the Dino Melaye and the Senate. A plethora of cases, have been decided by the court, Omagege and the Senate. A plethora of cases that you can't even suspend more than 14 days because that's what your rule says. How then do you proceed? The most recent of the 2017 case, which is now even in line with judicial precedent, that's third decisis, by the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal ruling is more superior to the Ali Ndome and the Mwagege cases. Because the Court of Appeal now has made a blanket statement that you cannot even suspend. You cannot suspend a lawmaker. You cannot suspend a lawmaker entirely. That is what the Court of Appeal recent decision has said. Because doing so is depriving our constituents representation.
Now, given that Senator Apoti Uduaghan has filed a lawsuit seeking 100 billion naira in damage, what legal avenues are available to her under Nigerian law to challenge her suspension and the dismissal of her petition?
Yes, simply put, in my view, I feel that the most important thing is that she must first challenge her suspension. By challenging her suspension, the matter is already before the court. The court is seized of jurisdiction of the matter. She must challenge her suspension now that the matter that she had taken to court has been overtaken by the flagrant disregard and this disobedience to the ruling of the Federal High Court. She must now put it in issue, and now join the proper parties in that matter, because steps have been taken. The steps that the Federal High Court said must not be taken has been taken against her. So she must now put the issue of her suspension in issue for determination before the court properly. She must now challenge the 6-month suspension vis-a-vis what the House rule says, that it can only be for 14 legislative days. Yeah. Additionally, she must bring about into issue again the 72 hours injunction that was given by the Federal High Court, because that must be an issue that, in clear disregard for the rule of this honorable court that was already seized of jurisdiction, the committee went ahead, deliberated on this matter. That's why the court issued a 72 hours injunction that they must not do so. That in flagrant disregard to the court, that the committee sat, unanimously decided that I should be suspended. Yes, that the committee sat and unanimously decided that I should be suspended, despite the fact that there had been a decision by the court that should not have been done in the instant case. So those two issues must now be issues for determination before the court. In doing so, the court will most likely, in my considered view, rule against the Senate and restore her back to her seat.
Now, the Senate leader, Opayemi Bidele, has emphasized that Senator Apoti's Uduaghan's suspension was due to persistent misconduct and disregard for Senate rules, not her sexual harassment allegations. How do Senate rules balance the need for discipline with the right to free expression? And do you believe that these rules were applied fairly in this case?
You know, this can be synonymous with the Yoruba saying that a witch cried yesterday night and a child died this morning. Who does not know that it was the witch that cried yesterday night that killed the child? Even while the seat of Senator Natasha was being changed, she kept making reference to Order 10. And Order 10 is the last resort for every parliamentarian in the National Assembly. That when an injustice is being done against you, and any parliament raises point of order and cites Order 10 of the rules of the Senate, that every deliberation is suspended to give that senator fair hearing. That was not done in the case. In fact, when she was raising Order 10, Senator Akapabio, the presiding officer of the Senate, is forcefully removed her from the Senate. You understand? It simply means that there was no intention to give her fair hearing whatsoever. There was no intention whatsoever to give her fair hearing. Not only was she not given fair hearing, all the further steps that were taken after the denial of hearing from her, the Senate rule says before you change somebody's seat, that you must inform the senator. The idea is that it is after you have informed the senator. She was never informed. It is after you have informed the senator that the step can now be taken of changing. So they violated their own rules in Natasha's case. And after violating their rule, they expected her not to complain. And after she complained and now raised sundry issues and even wrote and now formally brought the complaint before them, they said, no, you cannot do this. You cannot speak ill of leadership. Oh, there must be a culture of silence. So for me, in my view, all what Senator Akapabio was doing and what was done on the floor of the Senate was aimed at harassing, bullying, and promoting the culture of silence in the National Assembly. You know, and the reason why these guys could not speak up, majority of them are not happy with the way Akapabio runs the Senate, as if senators are pupils in a primary school. Majority of them are not happy. But the email that they keep sharing, the envelopes, you know, Akapabio has said that, oh, I have sent mail to your inbox. Go and check. So those envelopes that they keep sharing, they are the reasons why many of them do not have the courage, you know, to speak truth to power. It's very unfortunate that this is the situation at the National Assembly.
Now, critics have also argued that the Senate President Akapabio should not have even presided over a case in which he was personally implicated, citing a conflict of interest. From a constitutional standpoint, sir, should parliamentary leaders recuse themselves in such situations, and what mechanism exists to ensure impartiality?
Yes, whenever a complaint has been made against a presiding officer, the right thing, the proper thing, the ethical thing to do is for him to recuse himself and allow the Deputy Senate President preside. This is not the first time such a thing is happening. Saraki did it around 2017 over issues of allegations against him for buying bulletproof cars. He recused himself. He allowed the Deputy Senate President to preside. You know, and they could have still done this, their dirty hatchet job properly. The chairman of the Ethics Committee was on Arise News defending Akapabio and insulting Natasha. Few days before Akapabio constituted, referred the petition of Natasha to his committee. So it can be that Akapabio did not have to be a judge in his own matter. You cannot be a judge in your own matter and expect that there will be fairness, equity, or justice. Just like the way that ethics committee chairman ought not to have sat on this matter because they had already picked a fight in the race, and he will have consulted independent, neutral people. You know, at least there are four to five women in that Senate. Yeah. You'll have gotten some women involved in the committee. You have gotten some opposition people involved. Balance the committee and say, oh, I have nothing to hide. These allegations against me, they are not true. Please investigate me. But that was not done in the instant case.